Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out Windosill by developer Vectorpark. This is a game that I really love, and in fact one of my favorite games, and a game that I actually have been meaning to cover since the inception of this series, and the only reason I haven't is honestly because I didn't know how to do it properly and I just didn't want to spoil the game for everybody. Not that I came to a conclusion saying that eventually I now did want to spoil the game for you. No, of course I still don't want to do that. But I did come to the conclusion that, well, I've been doing some slightly shorter episodes lately, so I don't think hopefully you'll mind too much if I only show the first few scenes or levels or puzzles or however you want to call them. So essentially, what is Windosill? It is a very playful game, sort of a puzzle game, and generally a brilliant audio-visual experience that really tends to draw you in, and I actually found myself kind of like weepy by the end of it, and I don't even know exactly why. It was just sort of an emotional game, and just one of my favorite indie games, so I felt like it was doing it a huge disservice not to talk about it at least a little bit. So, you know, I'm probably just going to go through about as much as there was in the public demo for it, and I highly recommend that you go check this one out for yourself. It is absolutely worth playing through all the way. If you have a friend, bring them over, have them play through it, and watch over their shoulder, because I had a really good time doing that at least 2 or 3 times. Pretty much everyone that I could get to sit at my computer desk and try this game, I enjoyed watching them play through it, so it's that kind of game, yeah, it's really fun. Anyway, let's just get into it a little bit. I'm going to show off this first little area here, which is basically like the introduction to what you might expect to see if you're playing Windosill. So we're going to just play around a little bit, which is really part of what makes this game so special. All of these elements that you see on the screen right now are totally interactive. They're all made in beautiful vectors, and they all have such beautiful shading to them. So there's a little eyeball on the top here with a rattle sound attached to it. We've got this little ghost mobile. There's a piece of paper here that you can see the stars through, and you can actually move it through. It's actually like a little window to another world where we can actually see stars in the background and a whole bunch of curved legs. There is definitely a surreal element to this, and part of the reason I love it so much is to do with the art style. It's just so nice. Basically everything this developer has done, and I've looked around on the website, it's all really beautiful. So this is a developer in particular that basically, like, I'm pretty much sold right out of the box. If this person's going to make a new something, I'm probably going to be on board for it. So anyway, we can hit this light, and all of a sudden, look at this, there's all this new stuff we can play around with. We haven't even gotten to the focus of the game yet, and there is a focus. But for now, let's just play. So there is a bunch of tentacles, we got a foot, all these different pivot points we can grab onto and play with. Oh, that is not how legs are supposed to work. It's kind of monster foot here, a duck foot, a horse foot. You know, make little creaky, hingy sounds. We got that ball there that I was bouncing around a moment ago. It doesn't look quite as neon and crazy with the lights on. I think we can turn it back off too, yep. And a piece of paper here. All we were seeing was the silhouettes of those as we passed over them. So it's a nice, pretty interesting effect. We've got an expandable Z here, which blows up and then deflates. A little house we can say hey to. Hey, house. Closes its eyes and produces some smoke out of the chimney. Got this little jello-y, flubbery guy that's full of rattles. And a pretty kind of creepy, actually, Cyclops eye, at least a little creepy. And some of these, if not most of these, are actually shout-outs to things that happen in later stages or areas or levels or puzzles, whatever you want to call them. I really like how all these individual mobile pieces are totally independently modeled. Like, they all have their own sense of physics to them, and it affects everything as a whole. There's some very delicate physics work done here, and I'm sure it took a ton of work to set this all up to look nice like this. And these little subtle shadows on the tree here. This thing opens up with that really smooth animation. Like, everything about this game is super smooth. Oh, what's that? We got a little bird beak inside of the clock there. You can open it up and see the ticking pendulum. Down on the bottom we've got some waves. You probably want me to jump into the game, and I will do that very soon. This little carnival tent looking thing, which walks around on its own. And of course this guy at the top, which springs out, and the top pops off. So anyway, this little cube is what it's really all about. Of course, I also should probably move this and show you the little brick wall behind it. And this little car. These are the two things that we want to pay attention to specifically. Each area or level, I'm just going to call them puzzles, I guess, is basically centered around how do we get this cube here, and how do we get it into the slot so we can open up the door to the next area. So once you put that in there, you can open the door, and then you just roll the car right through. I think there's something like 10 or so levels to the game. It's particularly short, which is not a problem. I mean, it actually, I think the length is quite lovely. It's just enough for you to really get a good sense of what the game's about, and sort of immerse you in the ambience of it, because there's a very cohesive theme playing throughout the entire game. And why don't I just pull this cord here and introduce us to Windosill. But like I said, yeah, the game is not particularly long. I think it's a nice length. It's enough for me to really appreciate it. I wish it was longer, but only because I just enjoyed the art style so much. I would have loved to see where else the developer could take that. So sort of like if you've ever played Mario Paint on the SNES, you can play with the letters here. They all seem to knock other letters over once you knock them, and then there's this hand which comes and straightens them all out again. And we can pull the leaves off of here and they'll instantly come back. We can toss them in the air and they'll slowly float down. You can see these little subtle shadows as they bend in and out, catching the light. There's a cloud up here, which if we hold down on, actually we can see space through it. That's kind of a common theme. There seems to be all these little portals that reveal space in this game. And in a way, I mean, I think that's quite reflective of the overall nature of the game, which is all about wonder and discovery. So you're probably wondering, how do we actually play now? Well, just as in that first level, we need to get the cube here to open up the door, because right now it is a solid wall. So if you're looking around this, where would we possibly find a cube? I don't know, do you have any ideas? Maybe off the top of the eye here. I feel like I'm playing Blue's Clues or something. Blueska-doo, we can do! There we go. Alright, so here is the first proper level, having gone through these two, I don't know, sort of like introduction, tutorialized kind of looking areas. There's not a ton to interact with on this level, which is fine, because we're still getting used to what exactly this game is even about. And if you didn't quite understand it from the first screen, you might be a little confused. The pattern hasn't formed yet. You don't quite know. Maybe the cube thing is just, you know, each level has its own way of progression. No, the cubes are consistent. So we've got another water droplet here, and we've got this little thing up here we can interact with. And I think the first thing you should probably do on each level is figure out what you can and can't interact with. You'll notice whatever this thing is sort of looks like a grain silo or something with a hole in it. Seems to follow me around for some reason, and we're not sure why exactly that might be. Well, maybe there's something living in there. So we hit this little bell on the top. Oh, look at that, it's a cute little bird. Hello, little bird. And you click on his beak and he crows at you. So he's a pretty happy bird. He doesn't really have a whole lot to say other than caw, but, you know, he's nice. He's very interested in this car, and that is one of the things that I love about Windosill, is it somehow seems to establish so much character to these little, you know, objects, and well, they are characters technically, but they are in essence vectored objects. And all it takes is just a few seconds and you already start to care about them. And look how subtle this is. There's even a shadow or a reflection in this puddle, which looks quite lovely, I have to say. So, how would we get a cube out of this situation? That's the thing we've got to figure out. We can toss the car all around. It's not really going to do a whole lot. But maybe that bird has something to do with things. So what can we do to make a bird interested? Well, he seems to like that this water droplet happens. Maybe we hit that again? Catch his attention? No, now he's kind of lost his interest in that. Oh, we can splash in the puddle. If we splash 3 times, look at this, we found a worm. And you know who gets the worm, right? Is it the early bird? Possibly. Let's bring the bird back out for a second, who coincidentally is the word. And yeah, you can have that. That's my gift to you. What do you have for me in return? Looks like you've got a cube. You're pretty much the best bird ever. Thank you so much for that. And that is how we progress to the next level. Again, I will not be showing off too much of this because I really, really loathe the idea of spoiling this game for you. In fact, I believe this is the last level that the demo contains. I know it's super short, but if you haven't figured these out, these puzzles can take you a few minutes to wrap your mind around what exactly you're supposed to do with each one of these scenarios. So in this one, we're presented with a whole bunch of pretty weird-looking objects. They look like they're organic. They seem to be some sorts of plants. They're dripping with dew. That one is full of some sort of rainbow-colored bees, maybe. That one just kind of looks a little bit like a green roll of toilet paper. And this one, I don't know exactly what that looks like. Maybe a popsicle or a Pokeball or something. So there's some sort of a relationship between all these objects, and if you know what to do with them, somehow we're going to make a cube happen. So let us start the process here And yeah, this is going to be the last puzzle that I show you how to solve, because again, I really, really hate spoiling this. The sense of discovery is what it's all about. So we've revealed something like a jawbreaker. As we click a little bit further into it, we keep revealing more and more and more and more and more, and eventually we're down to the little core, which pops right out with a very satisfying little plunk. So now we've got this little circle, which obviously does not satisfy the condition of that square peg. Well, where can we put that? It looks like this is the one other area that will actually work, and, you know, quite far from a roll of toilet paper, actually. Now it is something completely different. Something quite fun looking to play with. This reminds me of some sort of like a wooden wind-up toy that a toddler would have. And in a way, I feel like I'm young, you know, playing with silly toys again, in a way that, you know, you can't really have that feeling anymore. Once you're an adult, you kind of understand how physics work, everything sort of makes sense in a way. You don't really get this feeling, complete just free-form exploration in a world that, you know, it's totally nonsensical, but in a good way. So, there's this little handle here, and we get the idea that we're actually starting up a little engine based on the sound that happens. So maybe if I rev this thing fast enough, will something change? No, it doesn't look like that's what's happening. So what else can we do? Maybe, does the square have anything to do with it? No, it doesn't. By the way, I'm just kind of playing dumb here because I do actually know the solutions to this, so I guess I probably shouldn't tease you much longer. Alright, so we open up the circular one, and look at that. It is becoming filled with colorful bees. And now maybe we can get this thing started. Look at that. Alright, so yeah, it is. And you'll notice it is now pumping some sort of a something down through this vine, which has now come up through this now strawberry-looking plant. And if I click and let go, it actually shoots a circle, which goes right into that box. The box turns like a Rubik's Cube, and our cube key is revealed. So that is how we solve that level. And that is actually going to wrap up our video. As much as I hate to do it, will leave us on this very suspenseful note of what on earth is this thing, and what am I supposed to do with it to get a cube out of it. So that has been Windosill. I highly, highly recommend that you guys go check this one out. It's just a few dollars. It's available on PC, iOS, a number of different devices. So whatever you got, you're definitely gonna want to take a look at it and see where this goes. By the end of it, it's going to be such a nice revelation. I mean, the ending of it is really quite nice. Not to spoil anything, but it all just comes together really well, is all I'm saying. So the whole project, the whole thing is a very cohesive little puzzle game, and one that is very, very dear to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, remember to head on over to the website, which is indie-impressions.com, so you can stay up on all the stuff that's going on with the show. There is over 400 episodes over there, neatly archived for you, so if you missed any, that is where you can go familiarize yourself with whatever games you might miss. I've got them all neatly sorted there by distribution style, by platform, by payment, whatever you're into. You can also even type in, you know, developers, or if you want to search for a specific genre, look for other surreal type games. That's all there, and hopefully fairly convenient for you. I've also got forums over there. I've got a pixel system, so you can earn yourself some free games. All kinds of goodies await you if you want to head on over to indie-impressions.com. I've also got a Facebook page for the show, which is facebook.com/indieimpressions if you'd like to visit that. It just takes a second. If you want to leave a like on it, it helps me out quite a bit, and then you'll get every day's new video delivered into your Facebook stream. That way we can, you know, dialogue very quickly over there. You can send me messages, we can interact, whatever you want to do. It's all fair game. And I've also got a Twitter handle, which is @RockLeeSmile, so if you ever want to hit me up directly, that's the quickest way to get my attention. I tweet pretty much every day, several times a day at least, so you can definitely get my attention that way. It's @RockLeeSmile again. If you want to, feel free to send me a tweet. I'm always open to talk to just about anybody about just about anything. And I also have a contact form, which is right available on indie-impressions.com, so if you're an indie developer and you'd like to get in contact with me about the possibility of showing off your game on the channel, that is the quickest way to reach me for that specific purpose. And that is pretty much it. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Again, a game that I really recommend you check out. Links are going to be right in the description, as well as all my social media links in case you missed anything, because I am aware that I'm talking fairly quickly. And that is going to do it, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you come back again tomorrow for another episode of Indie Impressions. I do another one every single day. been running 400 days consecutively and more, and plan on continuing to do that as long as I continue to get your support. Everybody's been super great, so please continue to do what you're doing. I will continue to do what I'm doing, and I will see you again here tomorrow. Have a lovely night.